is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 25, the playoff fallout of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Once again, I am in a new location where Kylan is still at his house. I'm up with my in-laws. I'm having my bridal shower this weekend. So we are, we are doing lots of, prepping and planning. I just blew up like 100 balloons for a balloon wall that she's making, and my in-laws are going all out, which is so sweet. It's going to be adorable. So make sure to check out my Instagram tomorrow. I will be posting some pictures and videos from it. Should be really fun. My maid of honor is driving up from Virginia. One of my bridesmaids is coming up from Philly. So it should be a really good time. Two of my bridesmaids live in, yes, I know. She's a huge Eagles fan. So, she's Philly all for everything.
What part?
She and her husband live, I want to say, in Downingtown. Is that a place?
Downingtown, probably.
Downingtown?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Philly. But she's going to drive up in the morning. So it's like 2 hours away. But it should be fun. I do have another bridal shower down in Virginia in a few weeks. So I will get all my peeps down in Virginia. So I'm all over the place, but it's going to be fun. We're excited. But yeah, Kylan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm not leading as exciting of a life as you. I
don't think it's exciting. It's definitely stressful. And I've had 2 coffees and a Diet Coke, and it's noon.
I'm not a world traveler going from like Vegas to Virginia to Connecticut to Alaska, wherever you're going next. But I'm well.
Yeah. I might have to Skype in when I'm in Bali for my honeymoon for a hot second and show you guys my private villa with my private pool that I'm sitting in.
And look, I wouldn't be surprised if you like came on this podcast and there's an elephant in back and you're like,
I'm like,
they want me to do a Bollywood movie. I'd be like, oh, look at that.
You're like, okay. Yeah. But it's good. It's good. So like I said, I don't have very long today because I have 1,000 appointments. I have to go get a new dress because my dress doesn't fit. Running a half marathon, your body, you intend to lose a little bit of weight, which is not a bad thing, but none of my dresses that I bought for the bridal shower don't fit. So have to go look and get a new dress. My mom came up here and there's a stain on her dress. So she needs to get a new dress. We got hair appointments. We got everything today. So all of you that are watching that are like, I have never had to do any of that, because probably the majority of you are boys and you are like, what is all that stuff that you have to prep? It's a lot to be a girl. And Dan's like, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? I'm like, yeah, I know.
Sounds like prom night on steroids.
Literally, like planning a wedding is like planning 16 proms. Like it's just horrible and fun and amazing all at the same time. So we're going to get started on some sports stuff before I have to jump off. I have about 30-ish minutes before I got to go there. My mother-in-law and my mother are downstairs together cooking and drinking. So God only knows how that's going, which is very fun. They're amazing and they're so cute together. I'm very lucky. But yes, they were up late last night splitting a bottle of champagne and toasting to.
Tell them I said hi. Your mom.
I will tell them you said hi.
Who I am, but
yes, I will tell them you say hi. Dan's like, thank God I'm home in Fairfield and don't have to deal with this craziness of Dan's dad like left for the weekend. He's playing golf. He's like, I'm not doing too much estrogen around, which is fun. Fun change for everybody.
I'm going to hit the links. It's cold as crap, but I'm going to hit the links.
He's down in South Carolina. Like he's having the time of his life. He's like, no. But it's nice to have both of them here for Mother's Day. So happy early Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there.
Yeah,
it's really special to be able to spend Mother's Day with your mom and your mother-in-law, 2 people that are very close to me. And obviously, my mom is my bestie, my inspiration, everything. And Mrs. Bedard is amazing. And she has been incredible to me the past 10 years. So I'm lucky to be joining their family. I'll show you one thing.
All right, while you do that, shout out to my mother and all of my
Watson.
Yes, all of the spiritual mothers, because both of my grandmothers are unfortunately no longer with us. But shout out to my mom. Obviously, love her, my best friend, my inspiration as well. Shout out to my mom, who's working or doing something else. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, so shout out to all the teachers as well and the nurses.
It's a great week of celebrating predominantly female dominated industries. So
yes, and also let's not forget it's Mental Health Month as well.
Yes,
look after your mental health. And now, as we talk about mental health, and you get your picture. Look at that! I did see that on Instagram. Look at that.
Oh, it's so funny. So I was wearing that, and it is always funny when I wear it around the OG Mrs. Bedard. That which is very funny. All right, sports. Let's get into it. So
mental health.
Yeah, I know. It's NBA playoff time, so I'm Knicks fans, Celtics fans. I know you guys didn't have a great night. Sixers fans didn't have a great week. So let's talk about this. I don't know if I'm going to say this last name wrong. It's Mike Budenholzer, right?
Correct.
Budenholzer is hired as the Suns' new coach. They fired their coach the night they lost, the next day, correct?
Something, like either like a couple of days after or this week, one of them.
So very shortly after they lost, they fired. It just came out that Mike Budenholzer is going to be announced as the new Suns coach. Obviously I don't follow the NBA nearly as close as Kylan does, so I don't really have an opinion besides things that I've seen people saying on Twitter. Do you agree or disagree with the reaction that the general public has had, Kylan?
I think I'm in the minority here, where I don't see this as a good move for the Suns, just because I just don't. If you're a coach and you take this job, I just don't know if they'll give you enough time to succeed.
Well, that's the problem. It's like you almost have to go in and be perfect right away, or they don't give you a second chance. And I mean, I don't think that's a detriment on the coaches. That says something about the Suns organization that realistically, not many people are going to get it done right away, right? I mean, am I wrong when I say that?
Well, look, I'll say this: not many people are going to get it done right away, but the talent is there, obviously, with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, your favorite Wizard, Bradley Beal, and a bunch of other things. But I just think that it's a little bit misleading, and I think obviously Mike Budenholzer wanted the job. He's a former Bucks coach. He's won a ring. So he's done something that only him and Vogel have done, and they just fired him. So I just think that it's not enough time, and we're seeing right now, we're going to get to this later. I don't know if you'll be here for it, but we're going to get to this later with the youth revolution in the West with the Thunder and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves specifically making me look stupid for saying Nuggets in 7 last week. And I agonized over that because you know how much I love the Timberwolves. And Anthony Edwards is making me look stupid. But we'll get to that later. But as far as Budenholzer, I think he's a good coach. I think that he has the experience. It's just a matter of, we don't know. This is the thing about taking this job. You don't know what you'll have. At most, you might have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. Kevin Durant's probably gone. I don't know if
where do you think I was going to say, where do you think he's going to go? I know we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but since it's gotten there's been a little bit more information out. Where do you think?
I don't know. I think he's looking at coming back home. It's not coming back home because he started in the West, but coming back to the East. If I'm him, I'm looking at. I wouldn't want to go to Miami. I know most people are like Miami. I would not want to go to Miami just because this is what the Heat do. I love and I hate the Heat at the same time for this, because I think since the Big Three era, they've stopped doing what brought them to the dance, which was draft somebody to grow with the team and then get the superstars later. And right now they've just been trying to get the superstars that are aging or about to age, and right before a big injury. They've done it they drafted obviously Bam and Tyler Hero. But to me, I feel like if they get another superstar, if they get a Donovan Mitchell, if they get a Kevin Durant, then they're just doing what hasn't worked, putting more money into, and Kevin Durant isn't as injured as Jimmy Butler, but putting money in the aging stars that doesn't work in an Eastern Conference with Joel Embiid, with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, with Jalen Brunson and them now. It's not an old person East anymore. It's not an old person West either. I don't know if getting the aging stars with this new CBA really works anymore, but I'm all for. What's up, RC? I am all for, like, people. I'm all for other East Coast teams making bad mistakes as long as it's not the Sixers. So like, I'm all for that, but I think this is a good hire, but I'm gonna wait until I see what the Suns roster is gonna look like. But I think there'll be a lot of turnover, and I think Budenholzer is more for a ready-made contender right now, which I don't think the Suns are right now in the loaded West. But we'll see. If Kevin Durant stays, then maybe I'll have more to say. But there's a lot of unknown with this roster right now.
Yeah.
So to the other one. So the WNBA got down with charter flights. It's amazing what getting with that Caitlin Clark Angel Reese effect will do for you with that money.
It's so crazy. Like, I guess I didn't know that they weren't taking chartered flights. I don't know why I didn't know that, but like, that's crazy that they weren't already taking chartered flights. Like, that blows my mind. Colleges take chartered flights. Like, it actually blows my mind that wasn't already a thing. And I think that's an absolute crime. Realistically, like, the NBA makes enough money that they should have already been paying for the WNBA to take chartered flights. That's crazy to me. About damn time.
Right.
As Lizzo would say, about damn time. But I'm happy for them. And we were kind of talking a little bit off the pod, and you were saying it's funny where the money just all of a sudden magically comes from when all the eyes are on your sport. So good for them. They should have done this. I don't think this is like yes, it should be celebrated, but also this should be more like, what the actual F? Why was this not happening already? And I get maybe people that follow the WNBA a little bit closer already knew this, but like, I just would have assumed that they already all had chartered flights.
No, so to be fair, it's written into. I don't believe the NBA controls this. This is what they agreed to in the W, was that just because they have teams in multiple places, that no one would take charter flights. I know the Liberty's owner, who happens to be the Nets owner, Joe Tsai, got in trouble with this because he wanted to, because he has enough money. He wanted to get a charter flight, and then WNBA said no because it's written in their contract that it's literally like the first grade or the elementary school rule of, how your teacher used to say, like, for your talent, you got gum, you have enough for everybody. Like, it's kind of like that. So like,
you have to invite everybody to your birthday party, even if you're in your whole class. Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that. I just think that, like, across the board, they should have already been doing this. Your professional sports team that doesn't make enough money for them not to be doing, like, it's not like if you told me that the NBA had to fly not chartered, I'd be like, what the heck? But like, whatever, they make a ton of money, and like, I don't know, give the girls some.
Right. And so let me say this: better late than never. So
better late than never, of course.
Congrats to the WNBA on that. But yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know. I guess just because like you got Joe Tsai, Mark Davis, like they're like the two richest owners. They both obviously own, until Philly gets a team, the two biggest franchises outside of the Sparks in the W, with the with the Liberty and the Aces.
Do you wonder if this has any like thought on them putting a team in Toronto, because it would be so difficult for them to travel internationally without a chartered flight? Like, is that one of the reasons, do you think? Or you don't think it has anything to do with that?
Could be. I mean, they're trying to get them in Philly, get them in Toronto. They're getting one in San Fran. It probably makes sense because you can't do, as you and I both know I don't know if you've taken a flight to San Fran recently. We all know how expensive that is to do a 6-hour flight if you're doing it direct. Only the Brave. I've done it. Only the Brave do direct flights.
And let's be honest, like, a lot of these athletes, especially the basketball players, are very tall. And like, I know my fiance is like 6'3", and that's, and he is like this in his chair. And and his brother is 6'6", and like, they have to get him extra leg room, or else it's like a nightmare. They get so uncomfortable. So I mean, and a lot of these women are very tall, and it's not comfortable to sit in those tiny seats. I'm sure maybe some of them get first class, but there's not enough,
Yeah, so congrats to them. Obviously, to also be fair, The only one that I know of who was flying charter with an exceptional reason will not surprise y'all is Brittany Griner, especially after what she went through last year in Russia. So she was the only one doing charter flights and flying separate because obviously, as we all know, we remember the video. I don't know which conservative outlet it was, but they tracked her down, and you all remember there was that whole I don't want to even call it an escapade because it was basically a setup. They just they just waited at the airport for them to come, and like they kind of set her up. So like they listened and did the charter flights for that, and obviously we had the video with Caitlin Clark and them. Just flying through the airport. No one's really bothering them, but you have this guy. I think he works for a local outlet who is just documenting it, and I'm like, it's good, but it's kind of weird because she wasn't getting mugged, so I kind of didn't understand like what the video was, if it was to highlight the fact that she was flying with the public, and I'm like, I know like Caitlin Clark is a big star, but clearly, I mean, Morgan, I don't know if you saw this video, but like I didn't think anything of it, but I know most people are like, what are they doing in public? I'm like, come on, guys, they go through airports. They have to be in public. Like, it's not like they whisk them away. They're not the president of the United States. They don't whisk them away. But yeah, so speaking of that, so congrats to them. Good partnership for Delta. Not my preferred airline, probably my second one, but good for Delta.
My preferred airline. So.
Good for Delta.
I'm a Delta girly.
Cool. So to wrap up the WNBA portion of this program, any surprises so far from the WNBA preseason? I'll start. So I this is probably going to give y'all an inkling of where I'm going for he's not him, she's not her, they aren't them. A lot of people are looking stupid who said that the WNBA players would rough up Caitlin Clark because she's been crossing people up. I know it's just preseason. Obviously, we don't want to hype it up. One of my biggest surprises is like the fact that everybody hits that rookie wall eventually, so maybe she won't score like 20 points, have like 10 assists and 5 rebounds when the season actually starts. But like the fact that she's looking good. Angel Reese, shout out to Angel Reese. She is her going from the Met Gala on her birthday.
She looks so good. Oh my God.
And then the next day being in the preseason game. So like on your birthday, like I cannot imagine taking a private flight to like sit amongst Zendaya and them and just being like, yeah, it's my birthday, guys. And and I decided to allow y'all to come to the Met Gala / the Angel Reese Gala. So Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, I really do like that. I think that has the potential. I know that they're friends, obviously off the court, but I think that has the potential to be a rivalry. The rival Jordan Bird, Magic Bird. Like, I think that's going to be a real good rivalry for the WNBA. And it's a good thing that they're both in the Midwest. What about you? Any surprises for you?
So my big surprise, in a good way, is that Kate Martin is still on the Aces. She didn't get cut. She's made it through, I think, 2 or 3 rounds. She went to the White House with the team, which is cool. Kate always seemed like a good player. They called her the glue at Iowa. And I loved that. I thought that was really cool and not really a surprise, but kind of a storyline that was a little bit interesting at the beginning of preseason. Was Nikita Mule from UConn didn't get her, or Nika, I think it's Nika Mule. Her visa didn't come through. And so she wasn't allowed to play in the first preseason game. Played pretty well in the rest of them, but kind of crazy.
Does she not already have a visa being here for UConn?
A student visa.
Okay. Oh, right, because she's working. She's actually working now. Where's she from?
Croatia.
Okay. Makes sense.
So very cool. It's been a fun preseason. I think the season's going to be awesome. I know people are like, whoa, like they just had the draft. The season has ended. And it's like, yeah, the WNBA starts right away. Like it's real quick. It's a very fast turnaround. They play during the summer, so it's really fun. I'm super excited for it to start. I think everybody is really excited for it to start. It's going to be fun. It's been really fun seeing my UConn girlie down in DC and having her. She's been posting all over Instagram. She's like, "Tell me where to go. This is my new home." It's just like very fun. Like it's very cute to see her she's down by the wharf, all this stuff, which is super cool. Really taking in the DC culture, which has been awesome.
Yeah, so RC says nobody's really snapping from the rookie class. The Fever coach is trying to hold his girl Caitlin back. We'll see. I mean, it's preseason. I think they really don't want her going hard. We'll see when the season starts. And we didn't get to this, but Candace Parker
oh my gosh,
this
yeah.
week, saved someone's job. So yeah, congrats to Candace Parker, the GOAT over there. Tennessee, great.
Did you see the video of them telling Stewie?
I did not.
She was like, wait, what? Like right now? And they're like, yeah, like 5 minutes ago. And she was like, wait, no. What? No. Yeah. It's very funny.
Yeah, so congrats to Candace. She's now the president of basketball at Adidas now. I guess she'll be updating the Adidas sneaks and signing new players. So we'll see how that goes. Also, congrats to A'ja Wilson. Got that Gatorade endorsement finally. So good for her as well. So now we're gonna move right along to updates on the House versus the NCAA case. So guys, we were right. Collective bargaining is coming and revenue sharing. I know all you college sports purists' heads are exploding right now.
It's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be better for the sport. It's okay.
Yeah, money is still TBD. They're talking about it coming out of. So what's going to happen here is kind of complicated. So I'm gonna try to explain this very, very much. It's still in process. But Pete Thamel, Syracuse alum and currently working for ESPN, has some great she's starting something.
No, I'm excited for Kate. I'm saying like I'm not in a I don't mean this in a bad way, but like I'm surprised that she's still on the team, and I'm very happy about that. Like I think she's a really good locker room player, and she's a great player on the court. So I think it's going to be fun for them to have her on the team.
Her and Daisha Fair, my girl, Syracuse, are going to be the backcourt of the Aces' future. No offense to Jackie Young and the current backcourt, but that's the backcourt of the future right there on the roster. Yes. But yeah, so Pete Thamel has been reporting on this very, very greatly. So what's going to happen for those of you that care about this is the buyouts for coaches are going to be done in, because now they have to have the revenue. They're talking about a 60-40 model. And if I was the players, I'd say 50-50, because 60-40 means that you're still getting exploited. So if I was the players, I'd say 50-50. That would be my goal. So there won't be any more buyouts for coaches, which is great, because I'm tired of these coaches basically acting like like coaching is a free agency where they can go from JMU to Alabama and act like these smaller schools are like minor leagues to them till they get their dream job. So I think if a coach wants to get out of a contract, it shouldn't be the school paying them. They should be paying the school. And you'd see a lot less coaches moving around if that was the case. So I'm glad that they're getting rid of that. I'm glad that they're still trying to work this out as far as what the revenue share is going to be, just because obviously, as we all know, basketball and football are like specifically. So this revenue really shakes out what it is. I think Pete is reporting that they're going to take like the money that they make, which is damn near $700 million, which is crazy because I thought it would be way higher than that off of March Madness, which is what they made this year, $700 million. They're going to take some of that and like split the revenue from there. So basically they're taking from basketball to give to everybody else, which makes sense because March Madness is the biggest thing that they have. So like, I'm really excited for this. I think amateurism should have died a long time ago. I think these athletes should have the same thing that Morgan and I did to go to the highest bidder. And, you hate saying that that's what college admissions is, but let me be real with y'all. That's exactly what college admissions is. Like you go to the highest, I don't want to say you go to the highest bidder, but like you go for the highest scholarship and hopefully it works out. I am excited for that. I don't know, Morgan, you got anything to add?
No, I think you kind of hit it all.
Yeah. All right. So do we think the players so the biggest thing that came from this that Pete Thamel also reported was that the players, and I think this is largely the football players, but I could totally be wrong. Do we think the players not wanting to be employees is a smart play? You want to start?
Yeah, I don't really understand. It confuses me a little bit. So what, would they be considered like freelancers? Is that
no? So I think the idea is that they would be under contract based on the money that they make. Since so basically you'd see like them getting a double barrel, right? They would get the checks from the school, from the money from March Madness, and then their NIL money's separate from that. So it'd be
Okay.
two pies. I believe that's how it works because they
I kind of
obviously
understand
they
that
know they
then.
can't legislate the NIL as we.
I kind of
We'll get
understand that
to
because
this
then
with
you can
Boise
have
State.
two.
Yeah.
You can have two different kind of negotiations. You can
Yeah.
technically play them against each other a little bit.
Right.
I think that kind of makes sense because if revenue sharing is kind of going to be equal throughout the players, then I think that having your NIL deal be separate is better because one, it helps you keep your finances like not a secret, but like I don't know if everybody needs to know all your business, blah 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 blah. I don't hate that actually. And that doesn't upset me.
Right. I mean, I just think it's like I think it works out for the schools too because if they were employees, like we see with football and basketball players, like basketball 1 and done, football 2 and done, like the only basketball players that stay for the 4 years. I think this is a scam too because the men don't have to do it. I don't like that the women can't leave. Take full advantage of their popularity and leave like a year or two. But the fact that they have to stay 4 years, but the men get to dip a year or two after is kind of stupid to me. But I think it makes sense, especially for these schools. They don't have to pay health care on stuff. So I think it makes sense for them. Plus, I think a lot of it was like the whole like if we're employees, what does that mean? Is that a contract that I have to read again if I want to leave for the draft? Or if you're a gymnast, what if you do like what Suni Lee did? You start in the Olympics, you get your money, and then you go to college. Like, it's a lot of stuff with that. I believe that's what it is. All right. And then the other big question to wrap this part of this conversation up: with the death of amateurism incoming to college sports, will it turn into the haves and the have-nots, or will talent stay in multiple conferences? You kind of talked about this with JMU and losing your coach to who? Pittsburgh or Alabama, whichever one.
Indiana.
One of them. So so do you think this will turn into the haves or have-nots, or do you think talent will go to the highest bidder like their student counterparts? I mean, we're all students, but you know what I mean.
Honestly, I don't know. You want to say that it'll help keep people at the same jobs for longer, but I don't know. I mean, the problem is when one coach jumps ship, I feel like it is a snowball effect, if that makes sense. I feel like and then of course when there becomes an opening, it fills in, which makes there be a snowball effect. Again, you can't blame people for following the money. It's annoying when it's your team that's constantly getting their players and their coaches poached, but you can't blame them for taking the money and running. But I don't know. I generally you want to say that it will because, like I said, coaches aren't jumping from team to team in the NFL and the NBA just because they're bad. They only leave when they get fired. Really, like most of the time, like head coaches don't leave unless they get fired or retire. So you want to hope that that's the goal, right? But I don't know. I don't have an answer. I would hope so.
I'll say this. I'm glad that amateurism is dying. Y'all know that I root for maximum chaos. so amateurism, I'm glad that it died. I think it was stupid that everybody but the athletes could make money off of their labor except for them. So I'm glad that it's dying. And I think we've been saying, and I made this question, but I think we've been saying, oh, well, Alabama, Penn State, and them dominate because they have all the money. And, lo and behold, we've got, Nebraska getting a top 3 quarterback because he wanted to play. Here's what I'll say about this, right? Especially with football and basketball, playing time will always win out. Now, the individual sports like gymnastics and track, obviously playing time doesn't really matter because in those sports, if you're good, you're gonna play regardless. So they have way more players because there's way more in track, as we all know, because I ran track. I think you did too. There's way more events in track, way more events in gymnastics with the beam and everything else. So you can have more scholarships for that. And obviously, as we know, that's gymnastics is dominated. Actually, all these sports, gymnastics is dominated by Oklahoma. So it never really matters anyway. So it's a whole thing. But I just think that I think that for football and basketball, playing time and money will always win out. for these other sports, I think the talent will stay pretty split. But I think it definitely has the possibility, if it's not regulated, for like the haves and the have-nots, especially in basketball and football. Now, the other sports will probably stay pretty equal. But I mean, since this playoff thing in football, a lot of people have been saying that. And, you see JMU having an undefeated program. Temple's had one. Cincinnati had one until they ran up on Alabama. Like, these schools, talent finds a way, man. These schools continue to be able to challenge Alabama and Georgia when it comes to playoff time. So I don't think it'll end up being haves and have-nots because, like I said, for the main two money drivers, football and basketball, playing time will always win out. I think a lot of people are mad because you see a lot of these players, especially now that Calipari is in Arkansas. You see Kentucky losing a lot of its players, but now they're getting BYU players. So Kentucky's about to get a lot more Mormon, while Arkansas gets a lot more black. So you see how that works. So we'll see. We'll monitor this, but right now it won't do that. It will do that in basketball and football potentially, but it won't do that in all the other sports. So. If you're a softball, track, lacrosse fan, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
You bite with Syracuse, but you have nothing to worry about.
All right, guys, that is it for me. I gotta hop off. I am being summoned by the mothers. So I thank you guys so much. I'm sorry I was only able to be on for 30 minutes. Next week, hopefully I should be able to be on for all of it. All I have next weekend is a wedding. Not mine, one of our best friends. So in Connecticut, so no traveling. Okay. But I will be back. Maybe we can post some pictures in here next week of my bridal shower, so I can show you guys how cute it was and what a good job everybody did showering me, which is just like so crazy. And this is kind of like the first event that I've gotten to feel like a bride, which is really weird. So I'm really excited. Bye. Marcy, thank you.
Don't party too hard.
I'm gonna go maybe have a glass of champagne. It's 12:45. It's cocktail hour.
Don't party too hard. I need you
back. I won't. I'll make it back next week. Bye, guys. Remember to give me a follow. I will be hopefully trying to catch some sports this weekend. I don't know how much I'll actually catch, but throughout the week, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on both the playoffs, NHL, and NBA. So we'll give a big NHL update next week for those of you that are interested. Peace out, guys.
All right. See ya. I see. You're sworn enemy. Hey, man, look, great minds think alike. But yeah, going to this, we kind of highlighted this. Boise State University head coach Scout Danielson wants freshmen to earn NIL money. Oh man, I don't know what it is about these West Coast. Well, it's not even West Coast. These Mountain West places and this whole blue collar, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Nobody lives in our state energy that is emanating from this energy from Coach Danielson. Like, bruh. All right. So those of you who follow me on Twitter, you might have seen me post about this yesterday. So this is kind of, we talked about this right last week with the whole, like, these schools can't regulate the NIL money. It's all based on the state that these schools are located in. And you can't really, we live in a capitalist society, so you can't really stop these players from making money. But here we have Scott Danielson, who clearly didn't read Idaho law or NIL law, or apparently wants Boise State to get sued. So here we have a catch-22 for Boise State, right? Like, they want people to come to Boise, Idaho for some reason and come play football there. We know that they haven't been relevant since Peterson left, but they want them there, and now they have a coach who is apparently allergic to getting good talent to come to Boise, Idaho. So, he wants them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and earn some NIL money. Oh man, like I really don't understand this. Especially because, what I want him to do, again, I've said this before, what I want these coaches to do, especially him, what I want him to do is work this year without a check. See how you like it. Because that's essentially what you're telling these freshmen coming into Boise, Idaho to do, right? Work without a check. Don't worry about it. Like, you're going to earn your NIL commercial money, because obviously the biggest thing going in Boise State, what Boise State is known for, is their blue field. The one that hurts a lot of y'all's eyes, that sky blue football field that they have. And again, they haven't been relevant since Peterson left. So this man is making a program that hasn't been relevant in a while be relevant for the wrong reasons. And so I am of the mindset that Mr. Danielson should work for a couple of years without getting a check, see how he likes it. And then if he can do that, then he can tell these freshmen that they need to earn their NIL money, And I think that, this is going to lead into our next question. I think he's opening Boise State up to some lawsuits because the NCAA has already been told, and their representatives have already been told, that these school officials cannot regulate this NIL money. So they're definitely opening themselves up to a lawsuit and a talent exodus. So if you're Washington State University, if you're Washington, if you're Oregon, if you're, Idaho, if you're Iowa, if you're Iowa State, I would be reaching out to the people at Boise State, the good football players, even the bad ones, and being like, hey, here's a big NIL package. Let's go. Come to my school, because I think this is definitely going to lead to a talent exodus. And again, this is a program that hasn't been relevant since Peterson left. So it's not like it's a big program like it used to be. But I mean, he's really opening himself up here to a big lawsuit. So moving right along. I don't know what it is about the offseason and football players being stupid, but here we have another case. Rashee Rice apparently hit a woman in a nightclub in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe there's a warrant for his arrest, or if there's not, there's about to be a warrant for his arrest. Again, this is him. He had the drag racing incident earlier, and that whole thing with the hit and run. And now we have a nightclub incident. I think Rashee Rice should just stay in the house, go train and just stay in the house. I hate saying that about a grown man with a lot of money, but he's clearly shown that he can't be out in public and not do anything stupid. So I think that he needs to chill out. Just spend time with your money in your house. Do the Scrooge McDuck meme. Make like a whole bank vault full of money and swim through it. Do that. Do that. Maybe have some parties in your house. Do that. But stay away from the public. Rashee Rice will have his materials. Yep. Yep. RC. Just Rashee Rice just needs to stay in the house until football season. It would be better for all of us if he just stayed in the house and we don't have to hear about him drag racing or for some reason. And obviously we don't know the finer details, but I don't think there's any excuse to hit a woman in general. But I mean, it's kind of stupid, especially as a famous athlete. You punching somebody and now you in trouble because you couldn't keep your emotions in check in a club. So it's just crazy. There's always bumping and grinding in clubs, and especially when you're a tall football player, I'm assuming that happens a lot. It's a whole thing there. All right, so moving right along, Nikola Jokic won his third MVP this week. Congratulations to the Nuggets center, 3-time MVP. Obviously, I've said before that whoever won this MVP, I kind of assumed a couple of weeks ago that it would be Jokic. This is Joel Embiid's MVP. Obviously, he got disqualified, had Jonathan Kuminga land on his knee, so it went to Jokic by default. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was second. Luka was third. Luka always staying in the top three, but never being invited to the dance. Kind of hilarious. It's one of them things. Congrats to him. He totally deserves it. Obviously, it's the last few years, and it'll probably continue, have been between him and Joel Embiid and everybody else. It'll probably be the same. It's just kind of crazy that, obviously he won it this year by default. And congratulations to him. Great player, great assist guy, great points guy, great rebound guy, defending champ. So no knock there. Nikola Jokic, congratulations. Big ups to you, man. Big ups to you. All RC is hoping they get swept so he can be a most valuable brew. I like that. I like that. I like that. So getting into some controversial stuff here. Should someone else have won the 2023 to 2024 MVP award? I think so. So I think if the criteria is, and obviously it's changed because Jokic and Embiid have traded MVPs, right? If it's the best player on the best team, that wasn't Nikola Jokic this year. That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder, and the Celtics had the two best records in the NBA. And I think if it wasn't going to be Jason Tatum, I think if it wasn't going to be Jason Tatum, yeah, most valuable, bro. Good Lord. I think if it wasn't going to be Jason Tatum, which we know that Jason Tatum kind of gets decreased a little bit because of the all-star team he plays with, that it should have been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just because no one, I think, outside Oklahoma City had the Thunder being the number one seed in the Western Conference. Obviously, they just lost to the Mavericks. I'll get to that later. But you know, they look pretty primed to go to the Western Conference Finals and probably see the Timberwolves again. Like I said, making me look stupid for picking the Nuggets over the Timberwolves. You know, I am so excited for that series. I think that's going to be a great series. But so I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum should have won the MVP this year. If the criteria is best player on the best team, that was either Shai or Jason Tatum. But, you know, congrats to Nikola Jokic. Don't knock on him. He was top 3 in points, obviously number 1 in assists. So congratulations to him. I definitely think it should have either gone to Shai or Tatum. So wrapping this segment, this Jokic segment up, will his legacy be tainted if, like RC predicts, the Nuggets get eliminated by the Timberwolves? I don't think they'll be swept, but we'll see tonight. We'll get to that in a minute as well. I honestly think it's hard to taint a legacy after you just won a championship the year prior. So he is a defending champ. No one can take that away from him. I just think he was failed by the fact that, you know, the Nuggets are aging. I said this about the Nuggets before, and a lot of Nuggets fans were jumping in my mentions and telling me I was wrong. I was just a hating ass Sixers fan, you know, but I tried to tell them that their bench isn't what it used to be. You don't have Bruce Brown. You didn't have Jeff Green. And it's kind of showing like the bench isn't good. You know, they're losing the non-Jokic minutes. Jamal Murray is hobbled with a bad hamstring and a bad calf. Michael Porter Jr. isn't doing what he was supposed to do. Like, he's not really a number 2. He's more of a number 3. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, you know, isn't really doing the job on Anthony Edwards. You know, and you know that's you have a recipe for disaster for the Nuggets, right? And so I just think that you know, I think his legacy will not be tainted. The MVP this year's MVP will, but his legacy won't be tainted. He's a defending champ. Can't take that away from him. He won a ring, and you know he can do what he wants to do anyway when the season is over, which is go home and race some horses and get ready for the Olympics. So yeah, I don't think his legacy will be tainted. Like I say, he's still a 3-time MVP. He's still one of the best scorers in the league, one of the best big men in the league, and his legacy won't be tainted, but his MVP will. All right. So Nuggets versus Timberwolves Game 3 preview. All right. So the Nuggets are down in the hole 2-0. They're playing for their lives. Mike Malone needs to throw everything at the Timberwolves tonight because you can't lose this game and then on Sunday trying to like avoid the sweep, right? RC, I know RC and me, like RC, I already have talked myself out of picking the Timberwolves, but I should have gone with my gut. My gut was telling me, as RC tried to talk me out of it, my gut was telling me that, you know, that my gut was telling me that the Timberwolves were the better team. They were the hotter team, but I went with experience, and RC kind of confirmed it last week, even though he's a big Timberwolves guy. And now we all look stupid because the Timberwolves are looking like they might sweep the Nuggets. And RC says they have no answer for ants and cats. That is a good one, RC. That's a good one. They do get along. So yeah, I mean, like Anthony Edwards, like I said, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and I think it was kind of an omen for the Nuggets that they couldn't win when they did what they needed to do. Got Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble, got the more favorable matchup of Jokic battling Gobert, and they still couldn't do anything. It was also trouble when we saw that Mike Conley and Jalen McDaniels were able to basically like put Jamal Murray in jail, right? And so, that's what I said would be the difference in this series. Like, can Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels, could they lock up Jamal Murray? And you've got Jaden McDaniels picking him up at half court. Like, could they do that and keep Jamal Murray out of the scoring party? And they've done a very good job of frustrating Jamal Murray. And if the Nuggets want to win tonight, the biggest X factor is, how's Jamal Murray's calf/hamstring? Like, is it good? If it's not good and he looks hobbled again after having 2 days off, something that doesn't happen in the second round of the playoffs, having 2 days off, like if he doesn't look good tonight, then it's a wrap for the Nuggets. Like, their whole thing is that 1-2 punch of Murray and Jokic. Like, most people who don't watch the Nuggets think Jokic is the closer. No, the actual closer is Jamal Murray, right? If Jamal Murray isn't able to close, if he isn't able to cross people up, if he isn't able to dance, if there's any team that's long enough to defend Jamal Murray, and this is what I said last week, it's the Timberwolves. You got Conley who can wear him out, and then you got McDaniels. You've got Jordan McLaughlin, who hasn't even been used in this series. So you got a bunch of players who can do it. Oh, yeah. Don't even lie. I will. Yeah, how damn good has Naz Reid been, too, man? He will not beat the. I like that, RC. Yeah, man. Like, I was going to get to him, right? Like, an X factor clearly for the Timberwolves, obviously for the Nuggets, is Jamal Murray's health. It's, can they win the non-Jokic minutes? This is always a question, obviously, with every team in the playoffs. Can you win when your superstar is on the bench? And obviously, like I said, the Nuggets being weak on the bench is showing up in the series. They don't really have anybody who can guard the aforementioned Naz Reid. And the problem for the Nuggets is Monte Morris, the person that the Timberwolves traded for from the Pistons, hasn't even been good yet in this series, right? They've basically been getting destroyed by Naz Reid and a couple of other bench players for the Timberwolves. And like their biggest acquisition from the trade deadline hasn't really shown up yet. So Monte Morris is going to hit threes now that the series back to Minnesota. So if I'm the Nuggets, I'm kind of worried. Like, if you don't dominate the Timberwolves tonight, I don't think you've got a chance to win these next 2 games, man. You've got to win tonight. So Mike Malone has to figure it out. Maybe you need to put in Peyton Watson. Maybe you need to do a little bit more, because it's clearly Christian Braun isn't working. You clearly need more from your bench, especially during the non-Jokic minutes. You got to have somebody step up with Jamal Murray being clearly hobbled. So something's got to give. As far as the Timberwolves, Naz Reid has to continue to be great and lead that deep Timberwolves bench. And if they get something from Monte Morris, then it's a wrap. Then it's a wrap for the Nuggets. So my prediction for tonight, I'm going with the Timberwolves, man. I'm through doubting them. I said Nuggets in 7. I'm going with Timberwolves in 6 now. I'm changing my mind. Timberwolves in 6. Sorry, RC. I'm going with your Timberwolves. Timberwolves in 6. I'm changing my mind. Last week I said Nuggets in 7, and they done made me change my mind. Timberwolves in 6. I think the greatness of Jokic and Murray can get you 1 or 2 games. But I think the Nuggets are going down in 6. But they have 2 games to prove me wrong and maybe go back to Nuggets in 7. So, to the sad part of my week last week, my Sixers fell to the Knicks in 6 games last week. Very unfortunate. Josh Hart shot the Sixers out of that game last week after being down by 22 points. And coming back, Buddy Hield and Joel Embiid put on the show. And my reaction to this is, we started the season saying, for those of you that watch this show, that the Sixers are a great team, but the James Harden stuff kind of set them back. Obviously, they got way deeper and way longer, and they put a good game together. Oh, RC is with me. Wolves in 5 is what he said. Okay. Obviously, they did all they could against the Knicks, but it just wasn't enough. The Nova Knicks sent the Sixers home, and it was a very sad moment to go down at the Wells Fargo Center in front of Bradley Cooper and all the other Sixers fans. But send the Nuggets back to good one. But it was one of them. It was one of them series. Obviously, the Sixers just weren't healthy enough. I don't want to say they didn't want it enough. They clearly wanted it enough. But they got out rebounded, out hustled by the Knicks, and it didn't work out for them. But I think they'll be back next year. 65, close to $70 million in cap space. I think the Sixers will build a championship contender around Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. So what should the Sixers do in the offseason? So to me, if I'm the Sixers, you really got 3 options. They're all in their 30s. It's Brandon Ingram, Paul George, Jimmy Butler. Maybe if Donovan Mitchell wants to come via trade. But you really just only have that option. Obviously, you got the specter of LeBron James out there as well. But if I'm the Sixers, what I want is I'm looking at Brandon Ingram, right? He's a free agent. He's a little bit younger than both Paul George and Jimmy Butler. And he can shoot. He's an okay defender. He'll probably be a great defender with Nick Nurse. But the biggest thing that the Sixers need is somebody who ain't scared to shoot. And Brandon Ingram fits that bill, as we saw against the Thunder. He wasn't afraid to shoot. The moment didn't scare him. And so I think that if I'm the Sixers, that's who I'm looking at first. Then maybe I think about Paul George and then Jimmy Butler. It's not that I hate Jimmy Butler. It's just that Jimmy Butler, like I said, is aging. He hasn't played in a full season in forever. And you kind of need that third star to kind of help you out, because Joel Embiid, he'll come close to going a full season, but something will happen. Hopefully he can make a full season next year. But the whole thing is getting somebody who can help Maxey and Embiid continue to develop their chemistry, and I think Brandon Ingram fits that bill. And I think, like I said, he's a little bit younger than both Paul George and Jimmy Butler, and I just prefer Brandon Ingram more than I prefer the other two. He's younger, like I said. He can shoot the 3. He's not afraid to attack the basket. He fits the bill. Daryl Morey said this week they want somebody who can shoot, who's not afraid to shoot, who can perform in the playoffs. And I mean, Brandon Ingram was averaging 26 plus a night. Was shooting the heck out of the 3-point line. So I think that would be great. Outside of that, they need to not trade the 16th pick. Learn from what happened with Tyrese Maxey. You got him at 19, and look at what a player he's turned out to be. This player might not be there, but I would look at Stephon Castle. You need somebody who can shoot and create. Dalton Knecht from Tennessee. That's what I would look at if you're looking for a Tobias Harris replacement. That's what I would look at, Dalton Knecht. I know some people in the Sixers orbit who also report on them are talking about Devin Carter, but basically you need somebody who can shoot and who can defend. The Sixers need people who are younger, who can shoot and defend. So I think they need a lot more 3-and-D players. I think Dalton Knecht fits that bill. I think Stephon Castle fits that bill. You need somebody who can shot create and can play defense and can pass the ball. So I think they need to keep that pick. Don't trade it. You can trade the other picks that you got from the Clippers, because it seems like the Clippers will be doing this, especially if they're going to lose Paul George, and they might lose James Harden. So I just think that you keep that pick, you trade the other picks, which are way more valuable anyway than the pick in this upcoming draft next month, ironically enough, in June. So I think that the Sixers just need to go all in on Brandon Ingram, go take a run at Malik Monk. Again, like I said, shot creators. That's what you need. Shot creators, right? Malik Monk from the Kings. Help the Warriors fans out. Take Malik Monk out of the West. Some people are saying Lauri Markkanen. I don't really know if you really want to deal with Danny Ainge because he usually takes the Sixers lunch money. But Daryl Morey is a very, very skilled negotiator. So, maybe Larry Markkinen. But right now, I'm looking at Brandon Ingram. I'm looking to actually pick with the 16th pick, looking at the undrafted market. I think once the Sixers get some younger players, bring Kyle Lowry back, bring Buddy Hield, bring Kelly Oubre back, bring DeAnthony Melton back as well. I think if you get enough shot creators, enough good young 3-and-D players, Kyle Lowry notwithstanding, and maybe you can convince Nicholas Batum to come back, I think the Sixers will be in great shape and will have a championship contender. Plus, again, they'll have $65 million to build with. So yeah. So another one for this one is to wrap it up. Is can Joel Embiid win the championship as the number one option? This has been the common question all the time. With Joel Embiid, can he be the number one option? More people are seeing this now, and they're saying that. But I just think that it's a good question. I think Joel Embiid can be the number one option. I think that he's a very skilled player. He's obviously the defending MVP, scoring the back-to-back scoring champ. He can be a number one option and win a championship. You just need to build around him. And that's what the Sixers haven't really done because obviously they haven't had $70 million. They've had that albatross of the Tobias Harris and James Harden contract, which will be off the books at the end of the season. So they'll have that. You just have a really good shot this offseason to build around Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, it starts with which I didn't say with the last question. You extend Tyrese Maxey. You back that Brinks truck up for Tyrese Maxey. He's the future of the franchise. But Joel Embiid is the present of the franchise. And so you extend Tyrese Maxey, give him his first Supermax, the most improved player, and then you start building around, bringing some shooters, keeping the core of the team together, but bringing some more shooters, doing all of that. And I think the Sixers will be in good shape. And I think Joel Embiid can win a championship in Philadelphia as the number one option. All right, guys. Jalen Brunson, big body Brunson, as Kendrick Perkins calls him. Is Jalen Brunson having a generational playoff run? He is. He is having a coming out party. Him and Anthony Edwards are having a coming out party at the expense of a lot of teams. And I think that I think that Jalen Brunson is having a really good playoffs right now, really good postseason. We'll see how the foot injury affects him. I think that'll be interesting to see. I definitely think that they will probably lose tonight. But I am of the mindset that Jalen Brunson is having a coming out party, that the Knicks should extend him right now, and start building around him. Can it last? I think it will last until about the next round when they come up against the Celtics and the Celtics take their lunch money and sweep them out the playoffs. Y'all knew that was coming. I just think the Knicks are an okay team. I think that they've shown that they're beatable. I think the Pacers blew 2 chances to beat them and be up 2-0 in the series. I definitely think that now that OG Anunoby is injured and isn't playing tonight and probably won't be available more than likely for the rest of these playoffs. I just think it's going to end. It might not end this round, but I think it's going to end next round in the ECF when they play the Celtics, if Tyrese Halliburton and them don't find it and beat them in this round. So yeah. So that's where I'm at. I don't think it can last. But moving on to tonight's game 3, Knicks and Pacers game 3. So here's what I think about this. I think that I think the Knicks are going to lose this game. They've been on the brink of losing both of these games to the Pacers, but the Pacers were just a little bit mentally weak. And I think that the Pacers win tonight. I think my boy TJ McConnell puts in a game for the ages tonight. The Knicks really don't have an answer for him. They don't really have an answer for Obi Toppin either. The bench of the Pacers is really destroying the Knicks. And again, role players tend to play better when they're at home, and now the series is shifting back to Indiana. I think the Knicks are going down tonight, and I think the next factor to determine the series will be, can T.J. McConnell continue to shut down Jalen Brunson? I think that their coach needs to put T.J. McConnell into the starting lineup because I think he plays the best defense. Andrew Nembhard does his best, but he doesn't play Jalen Brunson as aggressively as T.J. McConnell. T.J. McConnell is a dog. He's a former Sixer, so he is a dog. And I don't think that the Knicks really have a good answer for him, especially now that OG Anunoby isn't playing. I think now that OG Anunoby isn't playing, the other X factor is Pascal Siakam. So if Pascal Siakam is unlocked, then yeah, it's over. It's over for the Knicks tonight. And obviously we'll see what that foot injury after sitting for a day or two, what that does. How does Jalen Brunson look? If he looks as hobbled as Jamal Murray looks, then then it is a wrap for the Knicks tonight, and probably in the series. Even though I think I picked the Knicks in 6, or maybe I picked the Pacers in 6. I still think it's gonna be. It might end up being Knicks in 6. But I'm gonna stick with my Pacers in 6 prediction. So I think tonight, the Pacers win tonight. Tonight's game 3, and it shifts down to a 6 to 7 game series. And I think whoever wins this series will ultimately lose to Boston. So speaking of Boston, Donovan Mitchell put on a game for the ages and single-handedly shot the Celtics out of their building. The Cavaliers beat the Celtics in game 2, and my reaction to this is what a nice addition Donovan Mitchell has been to the Cavaliers, right? We've been waiting for him to have a signature playoff game. We've been waiting for him to have a signature playoff game, and he finally did it. Scoring 30 plus points last night, making a bunch of threes, and really just dominating that game and disrupting a masterclass by Jason Tatum. The other thing was Jason Tatum once again didn't get help. I told y'all, some people just said I was hating, but I told y'all that the Celtics aren't really a juggernaut, especially without Kristaps Porzingis. They don't really have a consistent second scorer. Like Jaylen Brown is good, but he's not consistent enough, especially in the playoffs. And that's what happened, right? The Celtics couldn't make their threes. Jaylen Brown couldn't give Tatum the adequate help, and they lost. And then Donovan Mitchell put on a masterclass, and that's what wound up happening. And yeah, obviously the Celtics always give a game away. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but I'm just saying that these playing with your food is when you play with your food, right? When you are clearly the more talented team. Like I clearly said, now that the Sixers are out, that there were only 2 things that can beat the Celtics, themselves and the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia 76ers are out, and they beat themselves yesterday. So, if right now they have to beat the Cavaliers, which they'll do in probably 5 to 6 games. I did pick Celtics in 5. And then they'll dispatch the Knicks, especially now that they're hobbled and losing players. They'll dispatch the Knicks or the Pacers in either 4 or 5 games too. And then they'll get dispatched by either the Timberwolves or the Thunder in 6 or 7 games. So that's what I think. I just told you what's going to happen, right? Y'all can check me on this. Hit record, 1:15 Eastern time. Kylan said Celtics in 5. Knicks. I said Pacers in 6. So if it's Pacers in the Celtics or Knicks in the Celtics, it's ending in 4 or 5 games. And then the Celtics will then lose to the Timberwolves or the Thunder, in the finals. So you're gonna get a back-to-back Western Conference champion. So that's what's going to happen. Just because I don't think the Celtics can survive if they have to play either Chet Holmgren or Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns without Kristaps Porzingis. Like, Knicks fans know this well. Mavericks fans know this well, that Kristaps Porzingis is a great player, but he has horrible injury luck. And I just think some games he's going to Jason Tatum, and some games he's going to be Jason Tatum. Facts, RC. I'm getting to Tatum. Like Tatum had a great game last night. But it just did not work out because he didn't get the requisite help from Drew Holiday, from Jaylen Brown, and everything else. So that's what happens when the Celtics can't score and they don't get enough from the others. And that's the thing. Like, Jason Tatum is a superstar, but like I said, I think he's going to get tired of having to carry this team in the playoffs and not having the prerequisite help and not being able to get enough help because the Celtics are over the apron. So I think he's going to dip next year. But I don't think the Celtics. I think this is the Celtics' best chance. If they don't win a championship this year, then they need to just blow it up. But can the Cavs take another game from the Celtics? I think if that combination that happened last night happens again, where the Celtics can't hit a shot, obviously the series is shifting back to Cleveland, so anything can happen now. But I still say Celtics in 5. I don't think this goes more than 5 games. And I think that now that the Celtics have gotten hit in the mouth, they usually respond. This happened with the Heat, and then they dominated. So I think this ends in 5 games. I think the Cavs, if they get another Donovan Mitchell and Caris LeVert masterclass, then yeah. And if Evan Mobley continues to dominate old Horford, yeah, then they can win another game. But I don't see this going past 5 games. I think the Cavs have gotten their one game, like the Heat got off the Celtics, and then they got quickly dispatched. We'll get to that. We'll get to Pat Beverly. Stay tuned for the last segment. We'll get to Pat Beverly. Don't you worry, RC. We'll get to Pat Beverly. All right. So will the real Jason Tatum please stand up? Then when I initially did this before the games, this was a question, and I kept it in here. So yeah, I think I need to see the Jason Tatum from last night. I don't need to see the Jason Tatum. Playmaking Tatum really doesn't work. I need to see scoring, selfish Tatum. Like, I need to see the Jason Tatum I saw last night, because that Jason Tatum can get the Celtics to another championship banner. But this playmaking Jason Tatum, like trying to be Jason Kidd Tatum, doesn't work. Like, he's got to be selfish. Like, he is the best player on the Celtics team. More than likely, he's going to be the best player on the floor until they until they get to the finals. So he has to be the selfish Jason Tatum that I saw last night. That I need to get mine, Jason Tatum. Like, if he can be that Jason Tatum and scoring 30 plus points a night again, then yeah, the Celtics will have no problem. They'll dispatch the Cavs. They'll dispatch the Knicks in the next round. And then, like I said, they'll get dispatched by either the Timberwolves or the Thunder, because without Kristaps Porzingis and having to rely on Horford, I don't think that can beat Chet, Jalen, Shea. I don't think that can beat them. I don't think that can beat Ant-Man and Cat. I just think that the Celtics are having a bad run of injuries in the playoffs. And I think if Kristaps Porzingis isn't available, then it's a wrap for the Celtics championship hopes. All right. But yeah, Jason Tatum needs to play, like I said, like he played last night. If he can play like he played last night, then the Celtics can win a ring, and it doesn't matter who's in front of them. All right, so is Jaylen Brown flying under the radar? Is this what you expect out of the highest paid player on the roster? So yeah, up until last night, Jaylen Brown was the leading scorer. He was doing a lot, scoring about 30 plus in this series. And then last night happened where he only scored about 20, and which is good, but not good enough for somebody who's the highest paid player right now on the roster. And so I think the Celtics need a lot more from Jaylen Brown. He needs to be scoring like 25 to 30. Him and Tatum, the Killer Jays, should be combining for about what Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid were combining for. They need to be combining for at least 50 to 80 plus combined points of the Celtics final total. And if they're not doing that, then the Celtics have no chance. So Jaylen Brown needs to do a lot more. He needs to be the playmaker. He needs to get more players involved. Derek White needs to do more. Like, there are so many players for the Celtics that need to do more. Drew Holiday needs to do more. Like, if the Celtics want to do that, want to go to the next round, then they need more from Jaylen Brown and the other Celtics, not named Jason Tatum. All right, so to wrap this up, can the Knicks or Pacers beat the Celtics and go to the finals? No. No. Unless Drew Holiday gets injured, unless Jaylen Brown gets injured, and unless Jason Tatum gets injured, yeah, the Knicks or the Pacers have no chance to beat the Celtics, even without Kristaps Porzingis. Like I said, Celtics in 5. If it's against the Knicks or the Pacers, Celtics in 5 or 6, and then they'll get dispatched in 6 or 7 games by either the Timberwolves or the Thunder. That's what I think. And I don't think I think neither one of those teams have a chance. Again, the only team that could beat the Celtics got dispatched last week, the 76ers. And if the Celtics don't beat themselves, and if Joe Mazzulla doesn't outsmart himself, the Celtics should go to the finals. And if they don't, then they need to blow it up. All right, so the Dallas Mavericks beat the Thunder in Game 2. So yeah, so speaking of like both of these teams who were the juggernauts of their conferences, the Thunder and the Celtics, both of them went down. The Mavericks also got a very, very throwback performance from Luka Doncic on a bad foot. Didn't get much from Kyrie Irving and got a lot from PJ Washington. I'm about to say PJ Brown. That's an old player that used to play for the Heat and the Hornets. Wrong thing. PJ Washington, he scored 29 points. So he really picked up for Kyrie, who really didn't have a good game. He was in jail. Josh Giddey put him in jail. So did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But yeah, so that's my thing. If now that this series is shifting back to Dallas, if the role players for the Mavericks show up, then they have a good chance. But I still think it's Thunder in 5 or 6 games. But we'll see, man. We'll see. And again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander needs to continue showing that he should have been MVP. He needs to continue to perform. Chet Holmgren, both of them need to combine. What a pro wants, what a pro needs. I know for some people that's an annoying commercial. I love it. But they need to both combine for at least 50 to 80 points, 80 combined points of the Thunder's final total. And if they can do that, like I said, they can dispatch the Thunder. They can dispatch the Mavericks in 5 to 6 games. So is RC about to be happy? Is his Timberwolves gonna make it to the WCF? Yes, we're heading for a Thunder versus Timberwolves Western Conference Finals. That's the short of it. Yes, we are entering into a youth revolution in the Western Conference, guys. Like I said last year that the Thunder and the Timberwolves were coming, and I didn't think it would be this year, but the future is now, man. And what does this mean for the future of the league? It means great things, man. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards are both in their 20s. Chet Holmgren is I think he's 19, 20. Like, it's great to have young teams that know how to build through the draft and paid their dues, and they finally it's like what happened with the Sixers, right? Like you build through the draft, you make the right choices. Obviously, the Sixers went through the process. So did the Thunder. They didn't call it the process, but so did the Thunder and the Timberwolves. And now they have their superstar duos, Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. Like, this is great for the league. You got duos. You basically have duos in all the big markets, and now you have them in all the medium to small market Midwest teams. Like, it's great for the league when the Timberwolves are good because Minnesota needs a winner. I think I'm going to make RC laugh here. I think the Timberwolves are going to win it. Are going to be outside of the Minnesota Lynx. I think the Timberwolves are the next the next team that's going to bring a championship to Minnesota. I don't think it's going to be the Vikings. I think it's going to be the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves are going to bring a championship, and it might be this year to the Thunder to Minnesota, because I just believe what I'm seeing from Anthony Edwards is maturity beyond his years. I think we are seeing a superstar rising. I think we're seeing it in OKC as well with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and how he just has this perfect symmetry with Chet Holmgren, and Chet Holmgren making this impact after being injured all year last year. Like, it's great to see. It's great for the league. It's great for the future of the league. And it really makes sense as to why they're getting like $2.5, $2.6 billion, got a blank check from Amazon, probably in the $3 or $4 billion range to have these rights. And WB is looking like the odd man out. And we'll get to that late. And we'll get to that in the next segment. But my NBA Finals prediction, I'm going to go with, I said the Thunder, so I'm going to say that the Thunder beat the Timberwolves in 7 games, and then it's Thunder and Celtics, and the Celtics lose in 6 to the lengthier and younger OKC Thunder, and Oklahoma gets a championship. That's where I'm going with it. Y'all can say I'm being blasphemous, but OKC Thunder, Boston Celtics, a matchup of the two best teams in the league, and the Thunder win. Youth beats experience. Boston Celtics hit the disappointment again, and they eventually give it one more year before they blow it up. All right, y'all. So, according to Sports Business Journal, NBC seems poised to get the NBA broadcasting rights back, and WB seems like the odd company out unless they up the offer. So we kind of previewed this last week. That NBC was offering about $2.5 billion. That's what Andrew Marchand reported. And like I said, for their combined rights with TNT and ESPN, the NBA gets about $2.7 billion in broadcasting rights just between those two companies. So now you'll have Amazon. It looks like it's going to be a 3-way deal between Amazon, ESPN, and it looks like NBC, unless, like I said, WB ups their money. And WB is looking like the odd man out. David Zaslav should probably be fired if he loses the NBA. It's the NBA. The thing about what Sports Business Journal is reporting, that they're gonna build like a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night basketball package, sort of like what they do with SNF for NBC. They're really pitching the NBA to come back, and that they'll build everything around the NBA, sort of like what Amazon is doing. That's what the NBA wants. The NBA does not want to play second fiddle to the NFL. They are not second fiddle to the NFL. The NBA does not want to play second fiddle, and that's why ESPN and WB are both being the odd man out, because ESPN is you saw it just 2 weeks ago, putting on ABC the NFL draft, which is the biggest crapshoot in sports, right? Over having Sixers, Knicks, and all the games that were going on in the first round, having that on ESPN and ESPN2, and that's the thing that Amazon and NBC can offer, main channels that'll build around the NBA. And that's what the NBA wants. I said this before. The NBA's audience is a young audience. It's like 10 to 40. Obviously, they have older audiences as well that view it on TV and local and everything. But their main audience is young, online, and they just want people who will build around that package. And that those two companies seem to be NBC and Amazon. And WB seems like it's the odd man out. And like I just said, if David Zaslav loses the NBA to NBC, Amazon, and Disney, then he needs to be fired, because that's a fireable offense. He's been doing a lot of fireable offenses lately. This is when I get into my entertainment journalist bag. Like David Zaslav has been putting stuff into like shelving things, Batwoman, Coyote versus Acme, like shelving stuff that probably would have been hits to save on tax break. He's gotten the WB currently under house investigation for what they've been doing, shelving things. Like, I mean, I just don't know a bigger he's not him than David Zaslav, right? Like, WB really, really messed up merging with the Discovery Channel and diving into reality TV, changing HBO Max to Max, stupid branding. And David Zaslav just can't prove that he knows how to run a big company. I think he should be fired if he loses the NBA broadcasting rights, which it looks like he's going to NBC, to Amazon, and to Disney. And I think even if Disney gets it, Disney should serve in the WB role. The NBA should put all of their main good games, the finals. I said this last week. Put the finals, put the playoffs on main NBC and on Prime. Split it between Prime and Peacock and the main NBC channel, because at least with NBC, you know that you're not going to get bumped for the NFL draft or for anything maybe other than Premier League, which happens in the morning anyway and really wouldn't affect what the NBA does. Like, you need to put the finals back where it belongs on NBC. Put it back on the main NBC channel. Put it back on Prime. Like, split it there, and just let ESPN just get playoff games, the WCF and the ECF, but don't give them finals anymore. Like, because they clearly don't value you. like the NBA is not valued. Like, it got bumped to ESPN and ESPN2 for the draft. If that's not a bigger I don't value you, I don't know what is. right? So like I think that the NBA should just make NBC and Amazon their main partners. Disney can still get the regular season games, but they need to move off of that. And honestly, like I said last week, I'm not weeping for inside the NBA. Like the only thing inside about the NBA that I liked was inside stuff because I loved that growing up as a kid. I did not like inside the NBA just because I think that outside of Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith, you're not really getting good NBA highlights or anything. You're not learning anything from inside the NBA. So I'm not sad to see it go. As an NBA and as a basketball head, I'm not really mad that it's leaving. But I know some of you are. So I'm trying to like be sensitive to y'all that like that show. As somebody who doesn't, I don't really care about it. So I watch it on mute when it's on. So I don't really care about it, but I know that some of y'all do. I do have a couple of friends that work on it. I think they do a good job, but just the show itself, don't really care for it. I'm not ashamed to see it go. But again, WB could up the offer, put it to $3 or $4 billion and get it. But if, like I said, if they lose it to NBC, Disney, and Amazon, David Zaslav should lose his job. All right. Now to your favorite segment. He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. All right. So by he's not him, RC asked us to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about it. Pat Beverly, come here, man. Like, what are you doing, brother? What are you doing, brother? You were on your, first and foremost, you ask a reporter after you lost. Does she watch? I think she was an ESPN producer. Does she watch your podcast? And she said no. And you said, then I don't want to take this question. How unprofessional, bro. Like, you had a great run here in Philly. I understand that, like, the podcast thing is what most of these athletes are doing now. Draymond Green, Jason Kelce, like Travis Kelce. But come on, man. You got to answer questions. You got to meet your NBA availability. People, I'm in the field, sports media field as well. Like, we're journalists. We're not here to be your personal podcast fans. Like, we may watch a show just to get, like, curate content from it, get stuff for our content, but we're not there to, like, be your PR for your podcast. Like, hire PR people for that. But answer the question, why are you getting into it with fans in Dallas? Like, why are you trying to fight fans? Like, the NBA went through this with Malice in the Palace, so they're very sensitive to this. I don't know what you're doing, bruh. You got a 4-game suspension. Hopefully you get some training classes on how to deal with people and how to deal with the media, get some sensitivity classes, because it's not what you're supposed to do, man. I like you, Pat Bev. I think that you have a good future in sports media. I think you're great. I think you're blunt. You're great. You do a great job. But the last week was not a good week for you. Kicking that ESPN producer out or not answering her question. And then like getting into fights with a fan, throwing a ball, throwing stuff into the crowd. Like, again, we just had Malice at the Palace a long time ago, but the NBA is sensitive to that. They don't want no fans going onto the court or players interacting too much with fans. If you do interact, do what Anthony Edwards was doing, like, talk back and forth, but don't like get too aggressive. Don't Russell Westbrook it. Like, it's crazy. Do better, Pat Bev. You're my he's not him. But she's not her. Don't really have one. Again, Kim Mulkey is the off season, so she's not really doing anything. There hasn't really been too much stuff as far as with the women in sports doing bad. So I'll just say my she is her, or my they are her to Angel Reese. Like I said, really doing really well. Caitlin Clark doing well in the preseason, even though I know RC thinks the coach is holding her back. Most of the rookies are doing really well in the preseason, it seems. Obviously, unfortunate news with Camila Cardoso and the shoulder sprain, 6 to 8 weeks. Hopefully, she gets back. So Chicago has their Twin Towers back. Very unfortunate there. But yeah, that's my they are her. My other she is her to my other she is her to A'ja Wilson, like getting that multi-year Gatorade endorsement finally, already having the Nike endorsement. Hopefully she gets a signature shoe deal out of that. being a New York Times bestseller. She is the face of the league. She is the MVP, a back-to-back champion. Good for her. Good for her. And before I get to my day art them, my he is him to Kevon Sullivan, 14 years old from Norristown, Pennsylvania, just signed a deal. I want y'all to picture this. You're 14 years old, right? You're such a soccer phenom that your local soccer team signs you. And it looks like you'll be playing for Manchester City in 4 years when you hit 18 for the PL and they'll pay the Philadelphia Union $5 million. Homegrown talent. Seems like he's the future of the MLS. The Philadelphia Union just signed the richest contract and only 14 years old. Apparently comes from a big family of soccer enthusiasts. So good job to Kevon. Another unique name, brother, doing well. Good job, Kevon Sullivan. If you don't know who I'm talking about, please Google him. Cavan, kind of like my name, but take out the KYL, Cavan Sullivan. Like just look him up, bro. He is a great player. They just did a piece on him on our local TV stations here. Look him up. It's a name you might want to remember. 14 years old. I think he should be available for the Union tomorrow as they play on their home field. So if he shows up, it'll be good. I always like boosting local talent, especially local talent. It looks like they're about to be a soccer phenom. So my he is him, the Kevon Sullivan. Good job, brother. Hopefully you do well when it's your time. And then my day aren't them. Staying on the WNBA. My day aren't them to all the clowns. So all the clowns who said that, like, Caitlin Clark's going to get roughed up, blah, blah, blah. You don't know if she would do. And I'm not talking about the WNBA players who were rightfully critical. I'm talking about the clowns on the internet. She's looking good. She's crossing up your favorite. She's scoring like 20-plus points. It's only preseason. Again, don't want to overreact. But if she does half of this, she's bringing the eyes to the WNBA. Like, charter flights are here. The money's coming in. So they aren't them to all the clowns that said her, Angel Reese, and all the others wouldn't translate. Seems like they're translating pretty well, and it's only preseason. And, we'll see. Like Morgan said, Kate Martin, Daisha Fair still on the roster for the Aces. Hopefully that stays that way. But it's looking pretty good. And like, check out the WNBA. I believe it starts next weekend or the weekend after that. I believe it starts Memorial Day. Great time. Thank you guys to hit my day aren't them again. My day are them also to the Philadelphia Phillies, even though they just lost. Want to boost them, even though I'm not a baseball reporter, but again, best record in baseball, looking good, offensive juggernauts. It's coming together. I'm not saying they're going to make a World Series, but they're looking really good, and they have all the tools to make a World Series. And I hope that does happen for all the Phillies fans, and that, I'm a Phillies fan, but I'm not like extreme. I think I will be at the game on Thursday night, so I'm looking forward to that, to see the Phillies in person. So I can't wait to see that. I believe they play the Mets. So if you're in Philadelphia and going to that game on Thursday, hit me up, let me know. And, I'm so excited for that. But, yeah, that wraps up He's Not Him, She's Not Her, and They Aren't Them. Morgan, I believe, will be back, as she said, next week, hopefully for a full segment and for a full hour and a half. Thank you all for listening. Thanks, RC. Thanks to all you people who either tune in now or tune in later. Like I said, definitely follow us at Kylan W. Watson on Twitter. Morgan is at M_India _Miller. I'm at Kylan W. Watson. You can definitely find me on Instagram as well, as RC did. And we are heading out. So definitely check out these game threes tonight. Knicks Pacers, Nuggets Timberwolves. Check out all the playoff hockey. It's a great time. It's a great time right now for basketball, for hockey, baseball. Like I said, lacrosse. If you're college lacrosse, men's and women's, that tournament seems like it's starting. I believe it starts this weekend. So this really good softball, obviously too. So definitely enjoy the spring and summer sports. Playoff fallout. We're out. That wraps up Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson, episode 25, Playoff Fallout. Peace out, y'all.